a suspect in custody for the J6 pipe bombing. Now, this case has been going on forever. 3 weeks ago, I saw headlines in the mainstream media talking about the right's fixation on the J6 pipe bomber, acting like that was a bad thing, like we shouldn't want to know who laid pipe bombs outside of the RNC and DNC headquarters on January 6th. Well, it would have actually been January 5th, right? The day before. I don't know. I get it all lost. But the bottom line is this, folks. They have somebody in custody. His name apparently is Brian Cole. And I am looking up Brian Cole in Woodbridge, Virginia. The only one that I can find does have other arrest records, lawsuit, lien, or bankruptcy. And I'm trying to find out more about this guy. But I want to also mention that this is just on the heels of the quote unquote damning report of the FBI. And all these people are running around saying Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. I mean, I've long been in Dan Bongino's court. I've met the guy. I feel very good about him, and I'm glad he's there at the FBI. But I'm gonna see here. So we got Brian Cole. We got a Brian Cole of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. But that's not what I want to get to right now. I'm going to read to you straight from the article. So this is a big development because this has been out there a long time. And as we go into this report, so FBI makes arrest in January 6th pipe bomb probe nearly 5 years after the devices were discovered. I'm going to pull this from the New York Post for two reasons, which I'll explain here in just a second, but let me read the article. A suspect has been arrested in connection with the planning of pipe bombs outside the DNC and RNC on the eve of January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, the Post has confirmed. The suspect, Brian Cole of Woodbridge, Virginia, was collared Thursday morning and was set to be arraigned in DC federal court at 1 p.m., according to a law enforcement source. So we're going to find out more about this guy come 1 p.m., but the arrest comes 1 month before the 5th anniversary of the melee that briefly delayed congressional confirmation of former Vice President Joe Biden's 2020 election victory, folks. Hey, do you know what's really crazy about this? As we're looking at this, only 161 people on with a big story like this. I wonder if it's because I put J6 in the title, if YouTube has suppressed it. But smash that like if you would. Chat in with where you're from. Very unusual to only have 194 people on this show on a breaking news stream, especially one that captivates the interest of my audience. Okay. All right. This is fascinating. So the arrest comes 1 month before the 5th anniversary. Okay, Biden's 2020 election victory. By the way, folks, I'm going to have a special live stream at noon. I'm going to have our candidate for governor in Minnesota, Mike Lindell, on, but also there has been a bombshell that came out regarding election fraud in the last day. Okay? An absolute bombshell involving Venezuela. So if you're wondering why Trump is so serious about Venezuela and about what's going on down there, I have a huge report. Okay. So I'm going to go down here. Surveillance footage shows a person carrying a backpack, wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, mask, gloves, glasses, and a pair of Nike Air Max Speed Turf sneakers, who planted what investigators called viable explosive devices at the headquarters of the two major parties on the night of January 5th, 2021. Okay. The devices were discovered the following afternoon, approximately 17 hours later, and at around the same time Congress convened to count the 2020 votes. Okay. If you remember this is a big thing. And then, of course, we've got Kamala Harris being there, her Secret Service. The whole thing is the weirdest story known to man, but they now have a subject in custody. Her motorcade, Pelosi, they're talking about, drove past one of the bombs after it was discovered by law enforcement, according to a congressional report that blamed law enforcement for failing to adequately secure the perimeter. There was nothing about this story that made sense. And a lot of people have postulated that it's a woman laying the pipe bomb out there. This is a Brian Cole. And I'm going to have a bunch of people going on, oh well, Neil, that they're just covering for somebody or something or whatever. Again, I'm in the Bongino Cash Patel camp, and I'm gonna tell you another reason why. So just was it what 3 days ago? 3 days ago when this report came out. How many of you heard about the report of the FBI being a rudderless ship under Cash Patel? And Dan Bongino and him were just concerned with personal resumes. How many of you heard this story when it came out a few days ago? Okay. 5'7" is kind of short for a guy. There's lots of 5'7" guys. Come on, man. Seriously. I did like my daughters talk about this. We live up in Hibbing, Minnesota, and oddly, there's no tall men up here. A lot of Finnish people of Finnish descent. They're all short. Okay, so and they're tall because they're my daughters. Okay, so anyways, it's just I mean it's ridiculous. Like the things we folks. One thing you're gonna have to watch in any news cycle is taking little specks of information and trying to turn them into something that is so much more than that. Okay, but the average height of a guy in the country, I believe, is 5'11". There's plenty of guys that are short. They're all over the place. I run into them all the time. Okay. It's so ridiculous. Anyways, but damning report. So this out of the New York Post by Miranda Devine, whose writings I typically like. Okay. She said, damning report labels FBI rudderless ship under Cash Patel, with him and Dan Bongino more concerned with building personal resumes. This is just the other day. And now we have the pipe bomber in custody, or at least the suspected pipe bomber in custody. Okay. FBI Director Cash Patel is facing withering criticism from an alliance of active duty and retired agents and analysts days after the White House denied media reports that the president is about to fire him. Okay. Yeah. So they're trying to make this. I don't know if people haven't learned anything. I swear. I just, oh my gosh. Anytime you see something in the media that's negative about the Trump administration, folks, I'm hoping you're starting to question it. I mean, gosh, I think most of the people in my audience, I'm just going on a rant. I'm sorry, but here's the thing. Cash Patel went on the other day. Who were these people that were making all these criticisms, right? About Cash Patel, about Dan Bongino. Who were these people? Okay, do you realize that most of these people are still from the FBI? I mean, yeah, they got rid of 5,000 and some quit in protest, and especially when they Trump pardoned the J6ers, and then Cash Patel came in, and Dan Bongino actually expected him to do work. And so you've got a bunch of holdovers, and they're saying negative things about Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, and the media laps it up like thirsty pups. And I can't believe it's disappointing to me that Miranda Devine did this, because she wrote my favorite piece of all time, which was about Nancy Pelosi's love affair with Donald Trump. So I'm not throwing her under the bus completely. I'm not just saying she's bad, but how did she fall for this? How did she write this piece? Oh my gosh. But this is the article. A troubling new report card on the first 6 months of Patel's leadership concludes he is in over his head, and his deputy Dan Bongino is something of a clown, according to the alliance, which in 2 previous reports warned about crippling DEI and politicization of the FBI. The Patel-led FBI is described in the 115-page report as a rudderless ship and all effed up. Yet here the rudderless ship finally has somebody in custody. God help us all. And I am telling you, I just, oh gosh. I'm just so tired, people, of both on the right and the left, everybody falling for every stupid scam out there. It just drives me nuts. I think one of the things that happened, of course, during COVID, during the Biden era, and even going back to Obama, is we just lost trust in every institution. So I guess I understand some of this. Okay. But, then when things we see change, and it was funny because I had Heather on the other day and she was talking about her time at the Pentagon, and she had some off the record conversations with some of the people, and nothing that I can't name names or whatever. But the bottom line is this, folks. You come into an organization like the Pentagon, because there's been reports on the Pentagon here lately. All right. And you have an organization that Obama, whether you like the guy or not, boy, did he get rid of a lot of good generals. Generals that actually cared about the country and would actually tell the truth. And so those people were gone. So we had the DEI military. And so now Donald Trump is trying to eliminate that. So is Pete Hegseth. Of course, you're going to have leaks coming from there. And the same thing's going to happen at the FBI. Okay. And so, here we finally have somebody in custody. And now everybody on the right's going to say, they're covering up for something. I don't know. And then the people on the left are going to be still claiming that it's a rudderless ship and that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are bad. It's one of the reasons I think, folks, that we don't get as many good people in politics as we want to have there, because who would want this job? Okay. I mean, seriously, who would want this job? I mean, the people who should support you, like, are just going to turn on you within 1 month of you not doing, with you not doing everything that they want you to do. And then, the other side's just going to attack you all the time anyway. So you're darned if you do, darned if you don't. It's like, how would you put this? So let's say you have a family member, okay? And that family member has determined that you're just bad. They've determined that they know your heart, that they know your motives. They're basically sitting in the judgment seat of God, okay? And they've decided they know everything about you. You're darned if you do, darned if you don't, because if you do something good for them, they will assume and they will act like it was falsely motivated, okay? That your good is actually bad because you're just trying to get something. And yet, if you do something, so your good becomes bad, and then your bad is always bad. And then if you don't do anything, you don't care. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So that's how some of these people are when they come into governance. I mean, I see it with our side. I don't know why everybody's, and not everybody is, obviously. I think, how many of you support Dan Bongino? Just yes or no in the chat. He has my full support. Okay. Full support. But the first thing you have to do is destroy trust in the institutions. And good, a bunch of you do. Yes. All right. That's good. Because see, not any longer. I knew we'd have some. And definitely then we have question marks, all of this. I had a super chat here I want to get to. We got from Will Crump. The Marxist playbook depends on destroying trust in government legitimacy. Exactly. Once that trust is destroyed, then everybody questions everything. And it's not that you shouldn't question things. But now we're going to have everybody saying, no, it's not the guy and it's a cover. I don't know where it all goes. The bottom line is, I feel that we have a case that has somehow stymied the Biden Justice Department in the entirety of its 4 years. And now Colby's like, trust the government, ? WTF. Again, God help me. People are so triggered, they don't even understand what someone is saying. Does anybody else out there honestly believe that I just said you're supposed to trust the government implicitly? Me, Neil Johnson, Lumberjack Logic, who's always talking about how bad big government sucks, okay? How many of you were actually hearing that from me? I mean, if that's where you're at, you might just not want to watch my channel anymore because I mean, gosh, God help you. I just don't even know what to say. I'm talking about the need to destroy trust and oh, you were talking about Will. All right, thanks, Colby. I'm just watching this stuff come by and so many it just blows my mind. At some point, and I'm not saying you have to trust me. Okay, you don't. You don't. I mean, I don't think you should, implicitly. Jesus said he trusted no man because he knew what was in the heart of man. All right? He knew everything though. Okay? I trust some of the people in government. I don't trust government as an institution, right? I do not trust government as an institution. Like big government always sucks. It will always, Will said something else. This is on the heels of moving to destroy trust in military chain of command. Thank you. That's actually a really big point. Gosh, I get so many videos I want to do in the course of the day. I don't know how to title or thumbnail them sometimes because people tend to click on thumbnails that are more centered around people than actual issues. I can't change people, so I'm always just trying to deal with that reality. But again, at noon, make sure you're on because there's actually some big information coming out on the election of 2020 right now. Okay. So, but you have to give people a certain amount of trust. I guess is what I'm saying. Again, you can't just, there's only one you can place your full trust in, and that's God. There's only one. And oddly enough, it's oftentimes that we're not trusting God and then trying to place our trust in people, making people Lord instead of God himself. And the reality is that, and I'm getting a little bit, I'm going to go into a little bit of a preaching here. I'm sorry. I can't help myself, but it's like, do you know in Revelation where it says, um, it's talking about idols and do not put your trust in idols. And it says this after a whole bunch of other things. And it's never made sense to me. People talk about like a knife being their idol or the phone being their idol or a gun being their idol, right? Or whatever. And I think that the real idol that we have in our lives is our idea of who we want God to be. Am I making sense to y'all? So there is a God clearly laid out in the scriptures. Okay, this God's will never subvert God's word. So if you're looking and you're going, wow, should I do X or should I do Y? I really like that gal. I should have an affair with her. No, God's will won't subvert God's word. And I've heard people say the craziest things, like that's what God wanted them to do. Weird, bizarre. Okay, the idol that people most have problems with is their version of God, what they want God to be. Okay, I hope this makes sense to y'all. So they have an idea of what they want God to be based upon their needs, their wants, their desire. Okay. And they've made God something to fulfill all those needs and to bring them their constant comfort in life, when actually there's a lot of choices you're going to make in life that are uncomfortable. And that's just a reality. And so I don't know how I got off on all that. I think we were talking about trusting people. I do give I don't agree with every decision Trump makes, and I don't agree, but that doesn't mean that I'm right. I mean, have you ever thought of that? Like, have you ever thought maybe you could be wrong? I mean, I think about this stuff all the time. There are certain things I'm very definite on, like we need to end the Fed, and inflation sucks, and that's why I don't like 50-year mortgages, and I don't. All it's going to do is increase the price of homes even more, which are already overpriced assets. People's wages are not keeping up with. And if you want to know anything about that, you can just go back to if you were making $100,000 a year in the 1980s. the average home price was 63,000. You make $100,000 today, and the average home price is like $360,000. Your dollar is just becoming worth less, and wages have not kept up with that, and that is all based on money supply as we print more money. So I don't agree with Trump on everything, but I give him the benefit of the doubt on most things, and I trust his instincts. Okay, so and I trust Dan Bongino. Like I said, I've met him, I've interacted with him, and I used to work in sales. I met with so many people every week, and I met so many shady operators and bad people, and I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. But there are certain times, and I think it's especially true in politics. I've sat down with some congressmen, congresswomen, done interviews with them. They say the right things, and I know they'll vote the right way, but I don't get a strong sense of their person. I just don't think that I think they're in there doing a job, and they have their reasons for themselves and for other things. I know I'll get the right votes out of them, but that's all. Dan Bongino, I feel he's a very solid guy. Okay. So, and obviously President Trump trusts him, and Trump wanted Kash Patel in there as well. And one of the things I've appreciated about the second Trump administration is how we don't have as many leaks. So I give him credit for that. But so people can go, I don't trust so-and-so. I do. I want them there. And I think people are too quick to want to make switches just because they don't get the things they want right away. It's just where I'm at. So it's where I'm at. And I have been watching a lot of the comments here as I've been running on my dissertation about all this. But the bottom line is the suspect, Brian Cole of Woodbridge, Virginia, is in custody. And, I know a lot of people thought this was a woman. But Brian Cole is the guy who's going to be arraigned in DC federal court at 1 p.m. And sure, a flat-chested woman looking at the pictures. If this is a woman, so it's kind of funny because I'm looking at the picture here. Doesn't really have the build of a woman, but people say, well, 5'7", so it's got to be a woman. Well, maybe they would have a different chest definition if it was a woman. So it's interesting, and everybody's going to believe what they want to believe. And I have found one thing to be true in this life is that you can present people with evidence, but if they believe something different and they want to believe it, it doesn't matter what evidence they're presented with. Okay? And a lot of guys walk like women. I worked, folks. This is funny. Now you got me laughing. Walks like a woman. 5'7". Okay, oh gosh, this is funny. I'm going to do an impression for you. So I was waiting tables in the Twin Cities. Now, if you guys don't know about the table waiting scene in the Twin Cities, this was right out of high school age. I think I was 19. I go down to the Twin Cities. I'm working at a restaurant called the Oak Grill. It was on the 12th floor of Dayton's when Dayton's was still in downtown Minneapolis, when downtown Minneapolis was still a scene. Okay. And it was called the Oak Grill. And I went in there to work. And I was getting these really strange vibes from all these guys who were working there. Okay. But I'm from Bemidji, Minnesota, kind of a small town, northern Minnesota. Okay. And I keep going to myself, they seem a little off, like they might be homosexual, but nobody's really that way. And I would just go on about my day. And there was this guy, and I swear he probably was 5'7". I wonder if I can do this, if I could turn my camera for you. Let me just see here. And then I'm probably going to have to bring it up just a little bit like so. Okay. And this is how he walked. You guys ready? Okay, I can't even do it because it's too tight in here. But he sashayed. He walked like a woman, and he had his hand going like this, and he made. Oh yeah, his name was Brian. His name was Brian, and then it was like this. It was like this. It was going. He would go. Oh, I just love this. It's just so beautiful, stuff like this. And I'm going, okay, he seems a little off, but nobody's really that way. I'm just telling you what is. I don't know if he is, Kobe. I don't know anything yet. We're going to know more at 1:00 today, and I'm sure there's going to be a press conference, and we're going to find out a lot more. The bottom line is, though, somebody is in custody in a case that's been sitting open for like 5 years, almost 5 years. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited that they're actually putting some energy and some effort into it. And do you know who else is putting energy and effort in? Mike Lindell. So go support him at mypillow.com/lumberjack, 1-800-568-2865. You can get some of these kitchen towels. His kitchen towels are antiviral, antibacterial, antimicrobial. They are pre-shrunk 16 by 28 inch towels, 100% cotton. All of his cotton is phenomenal. I mean, I've been talking about this waffle blanket. I mean, I keep using it as a demo. I want to put it on my bed, but it's just so soft and comfortable because it's Giza cotton, folks. Giza cotton, which comes from the area where the Nile, the Mediterranean, Sahara Desert all meet. Best cotton growing in the world, Giza cotton. So go get yourself some. mypillow.com/lumberjack. Big, huge savings going on right now. So, John Reed, you're 5'7". There you go. See? And John, I'm going to assume with a name like John, you're a guy. I'm just saying. I know a lot of guys that are 5'7". It's just, I mean, just because they're 5'7" doesn't mean they're a woman. We'll find out more as time goes on, but we just don't know that much on this yet. It's one of those stories that I really haven't been able to comment on other than the weirdness of the whole thing. But a dude that walks like a woman, I've seen a lot of those people out there, okay? Especially in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And there's a number of them in Virginia, which is where this guy is from. So I don't know about this dude yet, but maybe he is. So, yeah. And I find it funny, too, that this just comes on the heels of this, rudderless ship report. Kash Patel, by the way, just so you know, so this was the 115-page report, said it was all effed up and spending too much time on social media and public relations. And then there was this whole situation about a jacket. I don't know if you guys heard this in the whole thing, but there was this whole situation about a jacket. One damning incident included in the report on September 11th, the day after conservative podcaster Charlie Kirk was assassinated while speaking in Utah. Patel flew in to assist in the investigation, but would not disembark from the plane without an FBI raid jacket. Patel apparently did not have his own FBI raid jacket with him and refused to step from the plane without wearing one, the report citing a highly respected agent read. FBI agents who were working on Kirk's case had to stop and ask around to find an FBI raid jacket, a medium-sized one that would fit. And eventually Patel was given a jacket belonging to a female agent. I mean, Patel, he might be 5'7". Is he 5'7"? He might not. I've met Kash Patel. He is not tall. Okay. Maybe it was Kash. Maybe. No, the guy, I think we saw the person had like whiter skin. But anyways, however, according to the report, the FBI director complained 2 areas of the upper sleeve didn't have Velcro patches and so on. Patel has completely denied these claims, folks, saying it's 100% false. He said that one of the agents handed him a jacket in Utah and said, "Hey, boss, you should probably wear this. We're going to the command center." I said I'd be honored to wear that. And then another one handed me the SWAT badge of the unit that was protecting the area where Charlie was assassinated. Patel said, "I wore that with pride." So the reality is, until somebody's going to go on the record, we are just anonymous source for anonymous source. At least Patel is on the record. And we don't know, but I'm going to trust Kash Patel over the Huffington Post. That's all I'll say, so well, and the unnamed, highly respected agents. So just find it all interesting. Anyways, I love y'all. I do. I just it's funny. I know I get a little heated sometimes, and I just I'm very frustrated. I think a lot of us want to see more arrests. Understood. I think a lot of us are still solidly in Trump's corner. Okay, and I am. You know, people can be where they're at. People can say, "Oh, Trump's gone bad. Trump's now deep state." Whatever. I hear it all. I see it all. And I think what you need to understand is that a lot of these, and we learned that on X, a lot of these people aren't even operating from inside the United States of America. They're not even operating from in the United States of America. So sometimes we're getting frustrated about things that aren't even really happening to the extent that we think they're happening. Okay. It's just the reality. They are doing a color revolution. They are trying to take down our country. And so now, the one time where we actually have some people in the government that are more trustworthy. Remember the last administration, we had nobody we could trust. Now that we actually have some people that are trustworthy, the media is coming out against them, acting like they're the untrustworthy ones, while before they were telling us to trust them. Remember when we were told it was the most safe and secure election of all time? Tune in at noon for my special live. Big stuff breaking in that story, folks. Big stuff. Okay. And I've long wanted the truth of what actually happened there to come out. So again, we'll see you on the next episode, folks. Do support my sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com/lumberjack. Again, Mike Lindell is now running for governor of Minnesota. Of course, those of you who follow my show knew this well before it broke, because we'd had Mike on and he kind of alluded to it without. He was 99.9. That's 100 in political speak, folks. All right. I love y'all. Keep fighting the good fight. Peace out.